Good afternoon. Today's topic of discussion is going to be the Las Vegas real estate market update from an investor standpoint, May 2013. This is Dale Snyder with the Snyder Group at Keller Williams Realty. Today I have Jeff Barta with us. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Thanks for the invite, Dale.
Yeah, you got it, man. So Jeff's a very seasoned agent on our team. He's been through the ups and downs of the market, worked with a lot of investors. You've done flips yourself, done some investments, and Jeff tracks the data. So this morning I started going through some of this market data, and what caught my attention as I was preparing for this video was, I looked at the data from April. As you can see here, it says 37% of the sales were REOs for April, and that's what brought me over to where you were this morning. I was like, Jeff, this can't be right?
Yeah, we knew that data wasn't true.
Yeah, exactly. So I looked historically. I went back to December, January, February, March, and we'll have this data linked in the video for you so you can look at this great data. But it's more like 10%, right?
It's
roughly.
About 10%, right.
Let's just talk about what's going on in the market here. We're seeing inventory's gone down a lot, right? So what have you seen? I know you got a lot of data you've been tracking for years here.
Well, in January 2012, we had about 10,400 properties. By the middle of 2012, in May, that inventory was cut in half, and that's why prices rose 30% over the last 12 months. So
Yeah.
we've stayed about 4,000 to 5,000 properties on the market now for the last 12 months. Currently, we hit a low in March of about 3,900 properties. Now in May we're at 4,300. So we've gone up just about 5% just in the last month, which is kind of a seasonal thing. It's
yeah,
kind of
that's what I was
normal.
going to say. Probably a normal seasonal trend.
Right.
Yeah.
We are still selling about 3,300 properties every 30 days. That means we only have about 1.2 months worth of inventory on the market right now.
Okay.
So things are moving quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did we sell last year, like monthly average would you sell? Like, say we sold for
4,000 properties.
About 4,000 a month.
Every 30 days.
Every 30 days. Okay. And the data here, which you guys will be able to see from these great reports that Tycor sends to us, other than the last one that had the wrong data, they're great. So you can see here, they're saying closed 2,879 units for December, 2,200 January, 2,489 February, 2,800 March, and 3,000 in April. So what is that, about 1,000 units less per month than what we're normally seeing?
Right, correct.
From the last several years. Okay. And why is that? Like, what's changed things?
Well, the banks are not releasing a lot of the inventory that they have. We know that they're filing more notices of default, so we know that there's more inventory coming that the banks will own. We know that's coming, but our market now is really traditional sales.
Yeah.
So we list a lot of traditional sales on our team.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot.
And that's what most of our buyer's agents are selling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and as the data shows here, the resale market's around 40 to 50% right now, and the distressed makes up about 40%.
Correct.
Roughly. So I got this data here. This one's kind of cool for you guys to check out because this ties into the shadow inventory, right? Because I think that might be what you're thinking here. What's going to be happening over the next 6 months or so? If we've seen, as Jeff stated, prices have gone up 35% in the last year, and we're projecting, 10-15% more this year already?
Correct.
That we'll see. So we'll go up about 45% from what appears to be the bottom a year ago. So how is that going to be impacted when we see these REOs or bank-owned properties hit the market? You'll see here in March we had, according to this data, we had about 1,500 notice of defaults filed, about 1,500 in February, versus last year around the same time there were about 300-400. So it's gone up drastically, and it's AB 284, right? I mean, that's
Correct.
the reason why the banks weren't foreclosing.
But even when they do foreclose on these properties and put them on the market, we believe there's a high demand and that those properties will just be absorbed very quickly. So I don't think it's going to affect prices. Some people have asked if the banks list more properties, are prices going down? And the answer to that, I think, is no. I think prices will stabilize. If anything. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I always run through this with my clients and investors is, what's the worst case scenario? But let me back up a moment here. AB 284, if you'd like more information on that, it's going to be in the description below. I basically bottleneck the foreclosure process. Not going to go into more detail on that. There's also a couple laws that are in Congress right now. One is SB 321, which is basically the homeowner's Bill of Rights, is what it's referred to. It's AB 284 on steroids, basically. Was passed in California. Potentially could be passed here. SB 424, which is the first right of refusal or the buyback. Those two videos are going to be in the description below as well. We had a very seasoned attorney run us through what those are and how it could impact the market. But let's get back on point here with things. So, worst case scenario. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second. So, worst case scenario, what are you seeing?
Worst case scenario, prices could go down 5 to 10%, but no more than that. It's it's a function of what someone can buy a home for and make a mortgage payment versus rent. So right now, we're right about stabilized because interest rates are so low.
Yeah.
So we
under 4%. Right?
Yeah, under 4%. Amazing, historically incredible rates.
Yeah, absolutely. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So if that continues, prices are either going to stabilize, but more likely they're probably going to continue to go up, as we're seeing lately.
Yeah.
Some of my investors are very excited. I had a gentleman bought a home last year in September for $90,000 from a short sale, and sold it in March this year for $142,000. That's huge.
It's a good return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very happy.
Yeah. I want to talk about the flip that you're doing in a moment, but I just want to tie into a couple things for the investors here or consumers listening. So. My projection, I feel, is in alignment with yours, and I always consult with people much smarter than me and get their pulse on stuff and use that to come up with my professional opinion with my pulse on the market as well. And, I look at it, hey, right now, prices make sense. Mm-hmm. We've gone up 30, 35%, but this is reasonable pricing. We're back to affordability. Mm-hmm. Like an average casino worker can afford a home. And it's what, as we were talking earlier before the video, their mortgage payment might be $100 more. It might even be less than what they're paying for rent, but it makes sense, right?
Right.
So this pricing makes sense.
Mm-hmm. We're also seeing a lot of buyers come back in the market that did short sales 3 years ago and 4 years ago.
That's right.
They're coming back in the market.
Yep.
To be owner occupants again.
That's right. That's right. So worst case scenario, if I'm not to put words in your mouth here, but I think we're on the same page here. So if we were to go up another 15% this year, say we're up 45%, worst case scenario, these NODs and these REOs, these bank-owned homes start coming back on the market, and prices could possibly go down maybe 10% or so. But where we're at today seems reasonable.
Very
It's
reasonable.
Logical to stay in this range.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I want to transition, just I think this is a great conversation, especially for you investors that have bought some properties from us and you might be considering flipping them or you're considering getting into the market. So just walk me through that a little bit. You just bought a property.
Right. I closed on a property at $120,000.
Okay.
I knew that was about at least $20,000 or $30,000 below the market, but it was in terrible condition.
Yeah.
Needed a lot of work.
Okay.
And I found a crew to rehab it.
Okay.
I spent $13,000 on the rehab.
Okay.
There was a recent sale in that neighborhood for $140,000.
Okay.
That was in similar condition, but my home had a pool. So if you take the one for $140,000 and add about $20,000 with the upgrades, and then you add a pool, you're at about $170,000. So I wanted to just see what I could get, and I priced it at $179,000. Got multiple offers and accepted an offer yesterday at $179,000.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Good
It's
work.
exciting.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And it should close within the month here. So
yeah. So you paid $120,000, you put $13,000 in. So you're going to make what? After fees and everything, $30,000, $40,000?
Yeah, about $30,000, $35,000.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the reality of our market right now, and we're seeing that all day long here. I have investors that have bought last year that are flipping their homes back on the market. So, whether you're looking at, buying some investments and it's your first time getting into the market, or you're a seasoned investor looking at the buy and hold strategy, or you're looking at doing some flips or possibly selling and getting out of the marketplace, there is a lot of opportunity. It just really depends on your situation. So I just encourage you to reach out to us. We can have an informed, educated conversation with you about what's going on and see if it makes sense for you at this time. But before we wrap this up, I did have another question. I want to get your pulse on it. Mm-hmm. So what's the current cash-on-cash return that investors could expect in our resale market? Not going down to auction and buying, but buying off the MLS.
We're seeing people get anywhere from 3 to about 7%.
3 to 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which for them makes sense, versus having it sit in a bank earning what? Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
0.5%?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So. Well, and then you're hedging against inflation too, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because if inflation's going to go, if stuff's going to go up, the cost of every single thing that goes into the home, the wood, the copper, everything, that cost is going to go up over time as well. It just has to.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to buy right now for a lot of these people. Buy and hold, get it rented.
Yeah.
And just let yourself get a return.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. So there's still a lot of opportunity, and we're really not in a free market right now, right? It's being controlled by the government, being controlled by the banks. So all you can do, or all we can do as consumers, is capitalize on the controlled market, because it's not a free market anymore. So there's definitely some opportunity, as you've just explained with the flip that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so if any of the investors and consumers would like to get in touch with you, how would they reach you?
They can call me at 702-212-2279.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
So, we appreciate the opportunity and for you taking the time to listening to the video here. If you found value in it, feel free to share it. Make some comments below. It's Dale Snyder and Jeff Barta with the Snyder Group at Keller Williams Realty here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Have an awesome day.